So if you're that person that's driven, that's motivated, and that just has that little feeling inside of you that you're meant for more, do it.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Paul Tully with the FYI podcast. We got a great guest in the house today, Rafael Barba. He is a registered nurse. We're going to talk about his journey, what led him into the field that he's in, and why he continues to do it, and what is his why behind what he does. Rafael, what's
Thank you, my
going
good
on,
friend.
man?
Paul.
This is great. So this is the first time we meet,
Exactly.
and I've heard a lot about you, some great things,
Thank you.
and so you're a registered nurse. Tell me a quick summary, kind of where you're from. You're from LA, and kind of a little bit of backstory of you.
So quick little backstory. So I grew up in the city of Bell, small little city, um, from Mexican descendant family, first generation college graduate. So pretty much went to school around that area. And then before I pursued nursing, I was actually a special ed TA. So I worked with special ed kids. And I want to say I was about 20 years old, feeling like I was lost. I couldn't really figure out what I want to do in my career because I was going to school, getting my general education done, changed my major like 3 times.
Yeah.
And then I'm a big believer that destiny puts you where you belong.
Yeah.
So when I started my first special ed job, it was at a big facility. So in that facility, we had kids from like pre-K all the way to like high school, ranging from like Down syndrome, autism, even like cerebral palsy. So where I was working at, a lot of these kids with cerebral palsy, they're total care. So meaning diapering, G2 feeding. So I saw a lot of that stuff. So one of my supervisors, she's still a nurse today. Now she's a nurse practitioner. Her name is Kim. Shout out to her. So she was like, "Look, mijo, if you actually like this kind of work, you look into nursing." And I was like, you know what, like Compton College, it was where I was going to school.
Yeah.
They actually offer a nursing program there, and I was like, let me check it out. So I spoke to the nursing counselor, and then from there on, it was like, this is it for me.
Wow. So right when you kind of got into it, you knew like it.
Yeah,
it felt right.
Helping other people for sure.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so finally got all my G's done, applied, and then went through a nursing program, and then got my first nursing job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, did you have anybody with disabilities when you were growing up, like in your family, or what led you into that job originally, like in the school? I mean, working with kids with disabilities.
So after high school, my mom used to work as a kind of like a teacher's aide as well.
Mm-hmm.
And after high school, she got me like my first job, like 3 hours a day, But then I would volunteer with the special ed classes because I don't know, like I felt like I fit in.
Yeah.
And that kind of inspired me to just kind of pursue that route instead of just working with like regular education, which I did like regardless.
Yeah.
So then once I went to special ed, once you get like a kid that's really attached to you or that you feel like all the work you put in, and they're actually learning stuff. And because, a lot of these special ed kids, like say, for example, autism, right? A lot of these kids, they could be even like nonverbal or they just learn very differently. And it takes a very patient person, a very special person to connect with them. And then you see them, just grow and flourish only because they don't learn the same way as a general education child might. Doesn't mean that they're not smart enough.
Yeah.
So I got to see that little side of it, and it just I loved it.
We were talking before about like kind of what our purpose is in life, and just putting that good in the world and being of service to other people. And it always just feels good, but it also just comes back 2 times fold. I feel like I want to know a little bit about like, is there an in particular kid or situation that happened that you always that stands out for you, like something really positive, that like something in particular that you would share?
Actually, yeah, just talking about this previously, that same child came to mind. So when I started at that job, I was in a very like it was a very severe autistic all boys class.
Yeah.
So we had kids from like they were I guess middle school age, and one of the boys there, he had was very hyperactive, nonverbal. When I first met him, like he kind of scared me because he was just so hyperactive. Like he would run from wall to wall and then sit down. He was just like very fidgety. Um, but he was like my one to one, and I just stuck with it. Just at times I had to be a little firm with him, but he understood me even though he couldn't like respond and talk to me. So before you knew it, he stopped running around. He would sit like in the chair, be calm.
Hmm.
I potty trained him too because he was already like 11, 12 years old. So a
Yeah.
lot of these kids, you have to like potty train them as well. So put him on a schedule. Little by little, like he was more independent. I
Wow.
taught him he would hate brushing his hair. But I was telling him, no, like you gotta look good. Come on.
Hmm.
Little by little, like he would just let me. And then he was like my pride and joy because people would see they saw such a big change in him. And they were like, they would call me Mr. A back then.
Yeah.
Like Mr. A, like whatever you did to him, like
That's
he's
awesome.
responding.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was very sad, when he graduated. Like I actually wanted to follow him like through high school, but he ended up going private instead of like sticking like to like public education. But
Yeah.
wherever he's at, like I'm sure he's doing pretty well.
And did you get to know the family at all, or were they?
Yes.
Oh, they. So
Hmm.
they were probably really,
They were
really
thankful.
happy and
Yeah.
thankful. Yeah, that must be hard. I guess it's like to see the kids. I guess in any like in education in general, I always wondered that what that's like for a teacher, or how you like because you get these relationships and then like they move on, and it's
Hmm.
like you know. You'll always remember him, but it's like they move on, and it always seemed to me like that must feel a little sad,
Hmm.
like in it,
Bittersweet.
yeah,
It's
bittersweet. Like,
bittersweet.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I think of my old teachers, and I'm like, I wonder, like, you always have that one that stands out in your head. I had a teacher, I was a terrible student, but I was like a knucklehead student. But I had this teacher, man, and he would always ride my butt, man, and be on me. But I don't know. I think of him periodically, like he was trying to make me better and do my work. But like I always wonder, like, do they like does he remember me? He had so many, you know what I
So many
mean?
students.
And I don't know. But like with you remember this kid and it stood out. So that's why I was asking.
Hmm.
I think that's awesome. Okay, so you go to Compton College, you find nursing, you
Hmm.
fall in love with it. What's that process like for people out there, maybe young, well, anybody, but especially younger people that are like, yeah, I'm thinking maybe I'd be good in that field. How do you kind of go about that? Like you go to the school, what classes did you have to take? I know nothing about the
Hmm.
medical field.
So there's different routes to get into nursing. Um, First off, you have to get like your general education. So the one route that I took was through community college. So I got all my GEs done. And then a lot of these colleges, they'll have like a point system or like a raffle when it comes down to applying for the nursing programs. So
Oh,
it could either be based on like your GPA, but they'll base it off your sciences.
okay.
So it could be like your anatomy, physio, um, microbio, and chemistry. That's one route. And then there's a private route as well. So private route, it could be like a private school, which a lot of times it is more expensive because you do have to pay and get a loan. So the cheaper route is definitely the community college route because you
Sure.
have FAFSA, financial aid helps you out a lot. So that's the route I took, and I came out of there with my associate's degree in nursing. And most hospitals they will hire you with the ADN. That's
Nice.
what they'll hire you with. So there's those two routes. Doesn't mean that one is better than the other.
Yeah.
I mean, once you're if you pass your state sports exam, I mean, you're pretty competent.
Right.
It's just with experience, you will become a more solidified nurse for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Like my sister, she's about to finish her nursing program and she went private. Totally fine. I mean, a lot of these schools they do have a wait list, which a lot of people don't want to wait. They just want to get in it and get done, which
Yeah, I
I
was gonna say.
understand.
So then, what's the difference? Why go private? Is it because you get in right away?
Hmm.
But I mean,
Yeah.
now does it help at all? Like if you go to a bigger school, or does that help at all when you're applying and when you're or not really? Like you said,
Mm,
once you pass
I
the
think the big difference could be either you go for like some programs would be for an associate's degree and others would be for a bachelor's.
okay,
So some people will go just straight for the bachelor's.
got
But
it,
then like in my case, like I got my associate's degree in nursing, started working, and then 2 years into it, I got my bachelor's through an online program, which
got it.
was, I mean, it worked out for me.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah.
that's smart. So now, so after school, how's that work? You go out applying to hospitals, or how do you get placed in where you're at? How does that?
So for my first nursing job, Kim, which was my supervisor at the school,
Uh huh.
she had connections with that first hospital I worked at.
Nice,
So she got me in there and I got pretty lucky. It
nice.
matters who you know.
Yeah,
But even
in life,
then,
that's in
yeah,
general, man.
exactly. But
Who
even
you
then, like
know,
hospitals want staff regardless.
right?
I mean, unfortunately, they're very understaffed. The burnout is real. Like a lot of nurses, they burn out after a few years in the field because they think it's like it's good money. It really is, but the baggage that comes with it, the emotional stress, the yeah, it could be a lot.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, are you dealing with I mean, you're dealing with all kinds of stuff. I mean, how is that like dealing with just patients? Like do you get attached to patients I mean in a like in a professional way, but I
Hmm.
mean, you have to see some patients come in sick, they die, they're
Correct.
struggling with illnesses and that must be difficult. I mean, traumatic,
Yeah. The
no?
main thing is to have compassion
Mm,
and patience for sure. Because it's understandable that nobody wants to be at the hospital. You're there because something is wrong.
right.
So, as a nurse, it's kind of hard to explain to someone like, I'm sorry, like I only have one brain, two hands. This patient over here is actually a lot sicker than, I can't say that.
Right,
But you
right.
have to be very mindful how you say things. So, you have to be very good with time management and overall just your critical thinking skills has to be on point. And that's
Yeah.
something I've learned. Like the pandemic was one thing that really that's the one that really solidified me. I was a new nurse.
Oh man. Yeah,
So
what was that like? Was it packed? I mean, I mean, I don't know. I just was home
mm,
watching the news, but it seemed horrifying
I
what was going
realized
on.
that what really matters in the hospital team setting is it's a team. If
Yeah.
you have a good team of doctors, a good team of EMTs, even from like registration to your receptionist and your nursing like staff, like all that matters. I saw how we worked so great as a team.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
unit. Yeah. Yeah, I always commend your guys' profession, man. I
thank
mean,
you.
these are those profession. I mean, it's front line of everything. It's wild too because when you have loved ones in the hospital and you go in and you're so frustrated and you're mad because the doctor's taking longer, and it's easy to take it out on like the staff. And you
Mm,
got to remember, like, this staff is doing the best they can and they're doing their job. You guys are like
mm,
overwhelmed. There's 30 patients, but when we're in there, it's like we're only thinking about our loved one. And
mm.
yeah, I could imagine how trying that is to balance everything. So thank you for doing
No, thank you,
good work
thank you,
and,
thank
and
you.
having
Appreciate that.
integrity. Now, you also have a new business,
Correct.
right? That's going
Yeah,
on, and that's in Laguna.
Laguna Hills. Correct.
Nice, nice. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. It's like a recovery, whatever.
No,
Oh,
so I guess during like COVID, I ended up working with another company doing like IV hydration.
yeah.
So that's where like the little idea started. I was like, maybe I could do this on my own. So I started doing my research, and at this time I was with like my ex partner, right,
Mm,
my ex girlfriend,
yeah.
and I was like, hey, I want to like start this business. Like, let's figure out how to do it on our own. So yeah, I did like 6 months of research, all the like the legalities of it and the ins
Yeah.
and outs, and yeah, I pulled the trigger.
Awesome.
So it went from doing like a IV hydration mobile service to like a full on like medical spa.
Wow.
So that's where I'm at now.
And now you have
A location,
a
yeah,
location and everything. That's
yeah.
incredible.
Thank you.
Wow.
I know. Just talking about it sometimes it's like I'm actually about to hit a year in February, so it's
Wow.
still a baby. That's my
Ah,
it's,
but
it's a baby, but it's
that's
growing.
that's growing. It takes
Yeah.
time. So you focus on hydrations. Now is this like IV, like getting like your supplements in and vitamin B12, this kind of stuff
Hmm.
people go in?
Exactly. So like nutrients, electrolytes replacement, vitamin replacement as well. So it's just
Nice.
overall like health and wellness. That's kind of like where I'm at now.
You got a lot of like athletes going in there, stuff
I
like that.
do. I get a lot of athletes, like bodybuilders. I mean, even like your, entrepreneurs, professional people who are like constantly on the road, like jet lag, they're flying in and out, or
Yeah.
even someone that's sick as well. Like you're, trying to get rid of a cold, get some IV, some high vitamin C, and all that. That really helps
Nice.
like the immune system.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's all. What else do you guys do there besides do you do like the infrared saunas and that kind of stuff? Or
No,
no? Okay.
that'd be a good idea though.
Yeah. Well, I was going to a place in Cerritos, and basically, yeah, they would do IVs. They
Hmm.
also had like cryotherapy.
Hmm.
They had the chamber, so you could go in there and do that. Then they had the infrared saunas, and they had the leg compressors and arm compressors. So it was a recovery clinic,
Uh-huh.
and it was just mainly athletes in there, but there were also regular people, like you said, just people coming in to get their vitamin B12 and and then while you're there, you could do a sauna. And the way they would do it is they would charge a monthly rate, and then you would get points. So you would get like for 150 a month or whatever the rate was, you would get 8 points, and each thing cost a point. So you could do Krylo for a point. So basically, you get 8 visits a month
Gotcha.
for the 150, and it was pretty. Except for the IVs were 4 points. So those were for. So if you wanted to do an IV and then, but that's how I was going there for about a year,
Mm.
and it was really cool.
How'd you feel overall? Like,
Yeah, it felt great. What I ended up doing is I just bought a cold plunge. So I
ooh,
invested,
okay.
yeah, got a cold plunge. So I'm cold plunging every day. My next investment is a home sauna, so I'm gonna have my own sauna. I mean, just like a single
Yeah, I've
person
seen
one.
those.
Instead of, so I just did the math, did my research, and I was like, oh, I'm spending, it was 158 a month. So I was spending like, I don't know, whatever that math comes up to, a year. I'm paying for this membership. I got the cold plunge for $3K. Now I'm going to get the infrared. So I'm like, I could just do this at home and then just do IVs as a
Periodically.
walk-in as I go. But yeah, you know what? I guess the IVs worked. I mean, I drink a gallon a day of water. So I stay hydrated, but I think the B12 was working. I would always feel a little bit,
Energized.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I also know a lot of that. You got to keep going and it's not. I only did the IVs like 4 times.
It's a combination. It really
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
A lot of people feel like, oh, is the IV just like a one-time fix? It's like, no.
Nah.
You got to combine it with like, water.
Yeah.
You can't be hooked up every day to an IV and
Yeah, and
get
exercise
hydrated.
and
Yeah,
eating clean. Like,
it's
yeah, I gained a
all
lot of weight. I was
combination.
eating like crap and going. That's the thing. I would like go get my IV, and then I would go to Taco Bell, and it's
Mm.
like, bro, you could put a pump all you want into if you're gonna eat all this crap. So I wasn't doing Now I'm on like
Mhm.
a good health journey. Like now I'm on a steady regimen. So I'm exercising. I'm eating
There you
clean, no
go.
sugar. So I think I think you got to kind of do everything, right? If you're
It
doing
really is.
everything, the body starts to respond drastically,
Well,
quickly too.
anybody who has like a fast-paced life. I mean, living out here in California, just itself, everything's like time.
Yeah,
So, like even in my case, I wake up early, try to get my workout in, then go to work, and then
yeah,
come back and then work on the business. So it's like it's all. It could also be a mental thing. So trying to
yeah,
get rid of the mental fog. And I have other individuals who like come to me every month
yeah,
because it's just a combination to what they're already doing.
yeah.
So I think it's.
I think it's great either way what you're doing because
Mhm.
like we were talking about, it's service. It's putting good. It's a good thing. It's not
Mhm.
like you're, like I would love to get into that kind of business at some point. Like I don't know yet. I've been thinking a lot about that. Like, I definitely know I'll be opening a business soon. I mean, I ran a theater company for a long time.
Mhm.
I've been an independent contractor for a long time. do. But I do know I'll be investing in a business at some point, and I definitely want, like, I almost invested one time into a franchise, like a fast food franchise, and I didn't feel good about it. It was like, I don't really want to, it's just fast food's terrible. Like I'll say it right on. It's terrible. It's like you're not helping humanity. But
But it's
I'm not
but it's
nothing against
convenient.
people running fast food, but it's not what I want to invest in. But I would like to maybe like a health spa or a gym or something. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll
It's
figure
gonna
it
come
out.
to you.
It's gonna come to
It
me.
will. I think you just gotta put that on in the universe, and it's
Yeah.
gonna come right back to you.
Yeah, I definitely want to. I want to make sure that any money I'm making is funneling into something really productive for the world. I think that would be cool. Then again, if I could make a lot of money selling fast food, maybe I should do that.
What's funny, going back to that topic of time, I believe. Well, think about it. Like people are willing to waste large amounts of money to go get surgery,
Mm,
right? But then investing in a personal training that could cost them maybe $300 to $500 a month,
yeah,
they don't want to do it
they don't want to do it.
because it's about time.
Yeah,
What's going to get you the results a lot quicker? The surgery or maybe the whole year in the gym?
I mean that's the problem though.
You know,
But
because
that's
they don't find
also
the value of it. It goes also time and value.
yeah, that's true. I mean I also feel like no judgment, but that's also what's collapsing us as individuals. At least me. I'll say me. Looking for quick fixes has always got me in trouble. Quick fixes on why I am 300 pounds. Quick fixes. Eating, suppressing my emotions, eating at night, just bad habits. You know, why was I addicted to drinking alcohol and stuff when I was younger? Looking for quick fixes, things to escape, feel good. I think that once you start investing in yourself, which any good investment takes time, whether it's a business, whether it's a podcast, whatever you're doing takes consistency and time. And I've just started marrying that focus in my life recently. And part of it's my health journey, but everything in my life, career, draw out a plan, be consistent, and do the harder work and make the harder choices. And I think when you get that body that you want through putting the money in a nutritionist and a trainer and meal preps and eating clean and getting your IVs and your recovery, your cold plunges, that body's going to feel a lot different than when you go across the border and get cut open and have things done. Yeah, you look good quick and you feel good, but I don't know. I know personally, and I'm not no shade on anyone that gets surgery by any means, but I do know a few people that have had surgeries and they never fixed their problem and it didn't go good. They got big again. They're unhealthy. They had problems. You know, um,
So where's the real problem coming from, right? It's internal.
it's eternal. So I think once like me, my issues with my weight and stuff, which have always it's eternal. It's my own, anxiety and my eating disorder. It's why am I eating at 3 in the morning a gallon of ice cream? Figure that out. I'm not doing that now. I'm saying I'm on a good journey. I've been losing weight. I'm healthy. I'm doing the work, but I had to figure out like, okay, it's same with drinking, right? Or going out or doing drugs. It's an addiction or gambling. I had a friend that was a huge gambler. Like he gambled his whole marriage away. Oh, it held on by a thread. He gambled his mortgage away. He refinanced his house without his wife knowing and then gambled the money and lost it, dude. Imagine all his equity was gone, dude, betting on football. And you're like, what was that about? And now he's been in GA, Gamblers Anonymous, for like 13 years. His marriage luckily was saved. He's doing good. He doesn't gamble at all. He goes to meetings, but it's a real addiction for him. Like he really, and this was a professional guy, not like he has a good job, but what was that about? He had to figure out why he was that compulsion, that quick fix, that rush.
I mean, what helped them, even in your case, right? He actually wanted to change. I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to actually wanting something. How bad do you want it? Are you willing to sacrifice anything and everything to get it?
Yeah.
And in my case, like even when I started the business, I had to like really think about what is it that I really want. And looking back to it, like the other day I was actually reading back through my journal, which is something I started.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to be very hard on myself. So this year I began to actually have a more life balance because it's very easy to get caught up on work, and then your stress levels go up. You're not eating well, you're not working out. So I started like this whole new journey, and I was reading back to my journal, and I was like, man, I've come so far.
Yeah.
Everything that I wrote in there actually has been manifesting. Not every single thing, but for the most part, it has. And just being patient, with the business, you have to really care for it like a baby.
Yeah.
You have to nurture it. You can't be having so many like high expectations so soon. And that was like one of my mistakes that I did at first. I mean, I'm human.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
You open up a business and you feel like, oh, it's gonna blow up. It's
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
do
I'm
this
gonna
and
be
that.
rich. Yeah.
No, it really humbles you.
Yeah.
But I've also realized to enjoy the process and see that I'm surrounded by great people. Like the team that I have, like my medical director, man, he's a big inspiration to me. His name is Dr. Lopez. I've actually worked alongside with him in the ER.
Oh
So when I
wow.
started the business, since I'm a nurse, I can practice medicine. So you need a medical director. So he was my first option, and he said yes.
Nice.
And he tells me, he's like, Mijo, like a lot of people ask me to help him out, and I just don't say yes to anybody. So him telling me that is like yeah,
Yeah. That's
he
awesome.
sees a lot in me, right?
Yeah.
So whenever I have time, I'm at his clinic because he also owns a med spa as well in East LA. So it's funny, like everybody knows it. So just being around him, it's like I want to be like that.
Yeah.
And he's constantly reminding me it's like it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time. You have to be very patient. And now I'm just enjoying the process. So whenever I'm not working, I go to the beach, I go hiking. I feel like that's where I solve most of my problems now, like having that work life balance, and that a lot of people don't do nowadays. They just want to. They're too stuck in their minds. They're too stuck in their problems
Yeah.
that they don't even think about like, hey, like give your mind a little break. It's gonna bring you a solution.
Yeah.
So now today I'm tapping into like meditation, breath work, journaling. Um, I got myself a business coach as well
Nice.
because I figured out I can't do anything on my own,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's really about building a team. Like in your case, you have a whole team.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm proud, yeah, of our group that we've been doing pretty good. I mean, I had another company some years back. I started a theater company in LA, and I think we were incredible. We were a bunch of young. We started out of a community college, out of Cerritos College, and basically we recruited members that were all in community college, like from Long Beach City College. By the time we were 2 years in, we had famous people in our company. People wanted to work with us, and we knew nothing, but we had passion. We were driven. We wanted to learn. We were willing to put in 14 hours a day on productions for no pay. It was crazy. It was a wonderful time in my life. But that company also had a lot of issues because of egos, including mine, and arguments, and feeling like, oh man, this person's, going to try to take my position, or, insecurity. So I learned a lot from there of how to navigate now in life, like mistakes I made, but everyone did. But I take responsibility for mine. And our company ended up dissolving. And it was like unfortunate because we just had grew so fast from like a bunch of nobodies, from like Cerritos and
Yeah.
Downey and Bell Gardens and Compton, to like doing shows in New York and Miami with like famous actors that a year before we were watching in movies, and now they're watching our shows or in our shows. So it was a really interesting time. And
But on hindsight, if you think about it, it's the person you started, who you were when you started that company to maybe when it dissolved. Even though it dissolved, you were already like you had become this individual that was ready to like pursue something new because
Yes.
you had already gained all this experience, all these skills. So it's like, I'm gonna start something new. I already know what I'm doing this time around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, exactly. And I think that's life in general. And for anyone out there listening or anything, I think, not that I have these great words of wisdom, but
Yeah.
I think that's for all of us just to learn in relationships. You're in a relationship today. You think, I mean, the sun rises and sets with this woman.
Mm.
A year later, I don't even know who she is anymore. And meaning you may, what's so important for you today might not even you might not even think of that in 3 years. You got to life, we got to constantly be moving and pivoting and shifting. And that doesn't mean, I think every experience we have is just take what you can from the experience to make yourself better and the world better. So if it's romantic, okay, the relationship didn't work out, you move on, there's some heartbreak, no ill feelings, move on. And then the next relationship, because you will have another one, things, you will meet people. You don't take that same baggage. You take what you did wrong in that one, not so much blame what was done to you. How about just own whatever I did? And then I start this new one and I've learned from that. And that goes for business, relationships, everything. So life is beautiful that way. It's just, there's so many ups and downs,
Life
man.
is beautiful. We're humans, just having a life experience.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I wish we could all have this experience together, more peaceful and more supportive of each other. That would be great. And you know what? I guess you can. It just depends on who you surround yourself with. I've surrounded
Yes.
myself a lot of times with negativity, and it started feeling like the world was about people trying to take and negative. And then I had to realize, wait, maybe that's the people I'm putting around me.
Of course.
Put the right people around me and things change. It's about nurturing and uplifting. And wow, this person's helped change my life. Let me help change someone's life. Let's help change. And then life actually, yeah, you're still going to deal with deaths and illnesses and that you can't avoid, and health and injuries. And, my dad used to always tell me when I got sober, he had already been sober. Like, he was one of the reasons I got sober.
Okay.
I had a really supportive family, my mom, dad, everybody really supported when I had to get my life together. And my dad would always tell me, listen, man, welcome to AA, but you don't get a get out of life free card. Life's going to hit you even harder because now you don't get to escape. You don't get to disappear for 2 months on a drinking bender with your friends in Vegas. Like, now life really will hit you. But the good news about that, you never have to live in fear again a day in your life. You're never going to end up in places you shouldn't be, jails, institutions, nothing like that. If you pay your taxes, you live a good life, you obey the law, you be good to people, life will always work itself out. But you will deal with heartache, heartbreak, debt. Like, that doesn't go away. And that's what a lot of us were running from in the first place. I started partying in high school because I didn't want to go to class. I didn't want to do the work. I just would ditch, and I wanted to just go, party. And it was, I think of that all the time. Like, when I'm having bad times, it's like, you know what? There's a saying, right? Like a biblical, it's this too shall pass. I think that whenever I'm having hard times, like, man, this too shall pass. Just breathe. It may take a day, 2 days, and no matter what you go through, that's a fact. This too shall pass, and just be patient. Keep moving forward. And yeah, like I said, most things
could always be worse.
Could always be. That's another thing.
A lot of people beat themselves up, for so long. When something bad happens, it's like, okay, what are the facts? What happened? Like, don't dwell on your opinion and like your feelings. Just, okay, what happened? How can I move on from it?
Exactly.
And that's the main thing.
I like what
people live in fear too, or they love to like live in fear.
We love to live in fear. I always say, and people will tell me, they're like, "What do you mean I love it?" I'm like, no.
It's an
I
addiction.
think me too. It's an addiction.
It is.
I think that's what leads me to the overeating. I love to live. I don't consciously do it. I love drama. Everything from me has to be like, the bigot, like, oh man, like, you know, like my life, poor me. And it's like, nah, man. Oh, I love what you just said. It could always be worse. You know, I say do a gratitude list. It's like whenever things are going bad. The other day, I'm going to give you an example. The other day, dude, I'm driving down the street, coming from a rehearsal for a play I'm in. Driving down the street. I had been rehearsing all day. I'm exhausted. I enter the intersection behind another car, and the car slams on its brakes in the middle of the intersection. I guess lets another car go in front of them. So they almost crash. So I have to slam on my brakes. Now I'm in the intersection. The light turns red. The car's in front of me. So I'm like, so I back up, and then that car goes forward. When I back up, I trip the sensor, takes a picture of me.
Oh.
I'm like, dude. So now I know any day I'm going to get the red light camera ticket. And it's like, I didn't run a red light. You know what I mean? So that like all day was driving me crazy. Like all day. Because I'm like, that's like $500 for something I didn't even do. I didn't run a red light. The stupid car in front of me. So I'm like getting anxious and getting mad. Then I finally just breathed and went, there's nothing you could do about it right now. This is pointless, dude. And it's hard to do that because but I'm like in fear. Like, I don't have 500, I'm going to have to pay that. That's $500 I don't have. That blah, 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 blah. And I just went, bro, let it go. If the ticket comes, we'll deal with it then. You know, we'll go to court. We'll tell the judge what happened. He'll probably say, oh, guilty. And you're going to pay the fine. That's all you can do. Or maybe the judge will dismiss it. But what I can't do is change anything. So I might as well just breathe, you know.
Either you're ruining the rest of your day or you just accept it and move on.
Accept it and move on, dude. And that's hard to do, but it's imperative that we do that, you know, and just think about what, you know, it's like, what can I control today? It's like, I can't control that at all. Yeah. That ticket's a camera, I don't know, LA County is going to send like something in the mail.
Business, it's, you always want to think about the future, and then it's like, okay, what do I have control of it right now?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what can I actually do right now that's going to get me to, you know, to point B? And that's for a lot of people, for anything, not just business. It could be, you know, your life, or we're always like looking so much ahead. It's like, no, what can I do right now? And I feel like it ties back to a lot of fear and like, for example, like when I started my business, I was very doubtful of myself. And I was like, why do I keep doubting? And for me, my biggest, I remember since I was a little kid, I always had this gut feeling in me that I was meant for more. So whenever, I always remind myself when some fear comes up or some doubt, I think about that time that I was going to be something, someone.
Yeah.
And so anybody out there I've met a lot of like influential people who are like business owners, and I've also had that feeling.
Yeah.
So anybody out there that has that feeling, really like dig into it.
Yeah.
It's going to work out, and don't let that fear of failure happen. Like, you know, you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to come up, but make it a learning lesson.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
I like that. That's good advice. Yeah, man, I've been listening to a lot of like different influential people and businessmen. I watch different podcasts. And one thing, you know, that's for sure, this stuff life isn't as complicated as we make it. Being successful, like whatever it is you like, okay, I'm going to tell you what success for me is. Okay. For me, where I'm at in my life. I've been in like, you know, I mean, I had like a troubled past, right? Like I was getting in trouble in my teens all the way up until I'm 20. I'm just getting in trouble. You know, I go into the military. That's when everything got really good. When I get out, I'm working different jobs, warehouse jobs. I worked in retail for a long time. Didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Like until I didn't find, you know, a passion for like acting until I was 30. Okay. It's not like somebody like, it's a tough way to find it and break in. And I remember like I had an acting teacher that was like, listen, you don't expect to get famous and like rich Do you? And I said, well, I mean, that'd be nice. They said, no, it would be nice. And it could happen. But see, that's not what you're expecting, though, right? Why are you doing this? And I said, truthfully, I would like to be rich and famous. Because a lot of artists be like, I don't do it for the money. No, I
Come
really
on.
did. I was like, yo, I wanna
Yeah.
be in like big movies like Fast and Furious. But the truth is, she said, no, but why? Why are you doing? That's cool, of course. Maybe that will happen, but why are you doing? I said, you know what? It's the first time in my life being in this theater class, and it's, I could feel it. Like, it's this black box theater, the air conditioning. It was in this little community college, Cerritos College. It was quiet, and we were doing like an activity where everybody shuts their eye. But I remember feeling it was like a hot day, but the air was on and it was dark in there. And not to sound funny, but like the other students were like kind of like quirky, kind of like non-threatening. And from the background I had come from, and then my time in the military and stuff, I had never really been around people like that. Like artists with scarves on and glasses and that were reading poems. I never really affiliated with people like that in my life. It was always more alpha type of, like, my friends, even my regular, they're like alpha guys and stuff, like. And I was like, I told this here, I said, I feel safe here. I just feel safe. And she looked at me and I said, yeah, it just felt like a friendly place. Like, I don't feel I belong because I know I don't look like these other people and I don't talk like them. They were using words like, like artistic words and, whatever that means. But, they were talking about characters and, how to, transform into this character. I didn't know that language, but I knew I felt like I liked where I was at. So she was, it was like, okay, all right. And then we had a more rational talk and it was like, listen, do I have a shot at doing this? As I took more classes, it was like, I remember her telling me, like, I think you have a shot of doing character work, like, but who knows, Paul? Like, maybe, nobody could say who's gonna make it as an actor or who's not, but the odds are definitely not high that anyone getting in this business is gonna be successful. I don't care if you're 17, 10, or 50. I mean, but it's a tough business. On top of it, I started late, so I forgot how I got off on this tantrum now. I started talking about all this stuff. But anyway, I remember, that's what I was saying. So how I know that, like, to be grateful and stuff. So for me, success is, that's how I found acting. That's when I knew. Like, I was working at Countrywide at the time. I was doing home loans. I was a loan officer. So it was a good paying job. And this was 2008. This was the collapse of the housing, and I remember I left right before it bottomed out, but it had nothing to do with that. That's not why I left. I left my job one day because I had been taking acting classes at a community college, and I knew, I was like, you know what? I'm going to pursue it. I'm happy doing it, even if I'm broke. That's how I knew. So I walked out of a job that was paying a lot of money. And I remember the guy was from Philly. And as I left, he was an Italian guy. And as I left, I said, hey, yo, man, I'm out. And I meant I'm leaving, I'm quitting. And he goes, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. I said, no. I'm quitting. And he goes, why? You know what I mean? Like, we're making money. I said, I'm going to be an actor. And I remember, man, he looked at me like it was the craziest thing I ever heard. And he shook my hand and said, I think that's a good choice, man. Because he knew I was taking acting class. He goes, I could tell you love it, man. He's all, good luck. You always got my number. And that was it, dude. I just started taking classes, and then I took a job at Radio Shack because I needed to still, like, make an income, but I couldn't devote to a career. So I worked at Radio Shack, and I, to pay my bills, and I took acting classes. So, long way to get to my point. What's successful to me is being able to not clock in every morning at a desk, sit at a desk and dream about doing something that I'd rather be doing. And I did that for a long time in my life. Even while I was training as an actor and while I went to conservatory, while I did all my training, I was still working jobs. Then I worked in a jewelry store, and every day I would go clock in, and I knew I had an 8-hour shift, and I'm gonna have to show people engagement rings and do the whole song and dance with, hey buddy, yeah, I know how it is the first time you look at your girl, man, and do this whole salesman thing, when all I wanted to do was be back in that black box doing a play.
Mm.
And today, all I do is creativity. I get to do that. I'm blessed. I'm not rich. I'm not famous. Nobody knows me. I don't walk down the street. Nobody knows. But I get to do a podcast. After this podcast today, I head to LA to rehearsals for a play. I'm working with a great writer, that's had huge success in New York, Chicago, Berlin.
Wow.
I'm doing a play in his play. I wrote and directed a movie that's out now. It's on Amazon. It's I don't clock in anymore. I don't have to work that kind of job. I literally get to create, and to me, that's success.
That's freedom right there.
So yeah, that's a
everybody
long
wants.
way to get to.
Oh yeah.
And in my work, I try to inspire, whether it's the podcast, whether it's the plays I'm working on, everything I do, I try to uplift, I create projects, I create, we've done short films, and, I'm always involved hands in on whether it's raising the money, producing, directing, acting, and I love it. I get to give people jobs, and again, I haven't made anyone rich, and I'm not rich, but I get to hire you, even if it's for $300 a day to come work on this thing I'm doing, and that feels good because I know a fellow artist, that job means a lot to them to be able to come work with me on a short film. I can't make them rich. I'm not Scorsese, but I'm paying you. You get to come work on this thing and be creative, and you don't have to be at your day job today. And that makes me feel really good. So yeah, that's my idea of success. Man.
Fulfillment. I think what's gonna make you feel fulfilled in life, right?
Yeah,
In my case, is serving others,
serving others.
helping people look and feel great. That's what I'm aiming for,
I love
and
that.
that's just on the career side. Personal side is just having life balance. Like for me, I want to buy my time. I don't want to sell my time. Don't get me wrong. Like I still love what I do with nursing. But if I want to raise a family, if I want to be involved with my wife and kids, I want my time.
Yeah,
And I feel like having a business is the best way to do it. Because I've been around business owners and I see their lifestyle. And it's not because of money. Like money is just a tool.
yeah,
When you have that tool, that's one thing. But even then, like they're not always happy because they have money. They're happy because they have their time. They're doing, their hot yoga, they're traveling, whatever it is they're doing, they're happy doing that.
yeah.
And that's where I want to be. Like to me, that's gonna be my fulfillment. My wife
Absolutely.
and kids.
Yeah,
And I think that's gonna be my greatest life balance right there.
I think so, man. I
Yeah.
think you're doing it. You're doing great, and I think you're going to continue to do great things. I can't wait to keep, just keep involved and
Mm.
keep you in the network
Oh
and
yeah, we'll stay in
follow
touch.
along on what you're doing. So check it out. Before we close, what I like to do, I like to ask guests to look in the camera.
Mm.
That one's on you. I like you to give a message to someone out there listening. Maybe somebody that's heard your story and they're like, man, I'd like to do what he does. Give them a quick encouragement of how they could do it.
So this goes out just to any individual, any young individual that feels like life has dealt them bad cards. Use whatever life has dealt you. Because I come from a family that was raised by a single mother, but I always knew I wanted something more. So if you're that person that's driven, that's motivated, and that just has that little feeling inside of you that you're meant for more, do it. Whatever it is, whether it's a career in nursing, in medicine, it could be business, whatever it is. If you feel like you're capable of doing something, pursue it.
I love that.
And don't be afraid to ask for help. You can't do everything by yourself. Ask for help and be truthful to yourself. Like, what is it that I really, really want in life? And life will give you the answer some way or another. It will.
I love that, man. I love it. Thank you for
Oh,
coming
thank
on,
you for
man.
having me, Paul.
I'm going to close us out here. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in on another episode of FYI. Took a lot of gems today. A lot of gems. I always like to give the gems at the end. Some of the stuff I heard today that really sticks out is being of service to others. You know, top priority, putting good out there in the world. But in doing that, chasing your dreams and learning to have a community. I had to do a lot of work just to get to where I'm at. Just like this gentleman did a lot of work to get where he's at, and you're going to do. So if you're struggling and you have self-doubt, let that doubt go. You're enough. You can do it. Get people around you. Talk to people. Find the help you need to get to where you need to go. Find mentors and go get it. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one, FYI Podcast. Thank you.
You should never stress about the problems you be facing. Everybody in the mud on the struggle trying to make it. Look into the mirror and you see the motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration. I'm finding inspiration, and once I get a hold of it, I'll never get complacent. Look into the mirror and you see the motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration.